Hi, this is Denise of PaperKraftD, and I am so excited to share with you today day 5 of the Journal Jigsaw collaboration from Rach and Bella Crafts. Now, this collaboration uses kits from both Rach and Bella Crafts and Angela Kerr. The kits are called Crafting a Garden Story. And they are absolutely gorgeous. I've done a kit share if you are not familiar with the kits, and I'll leave a link up here as well as in the description box below. And I have the prompt to sew 3D flowers. Now, 2 of us are going to be doing this prompt today. I am going to be doing the bright and shabby, and Bella from Rach and Bella Crafts is going to be doing the rustic and grungy version. So make sure you check out her YouTube video as well when you're done here if you haven't already. Okay, so I'm super excited, a little bit nervous because this is my first collaboration with Rach and Bella, and I thought I would start with this, and this is from Angela's kit. I love everything through all of the kits, but I think for the project I'm going to be doing today, this page, this printable really works well. Okay, so when it comes to sewing, I think of fabric. Okay, so I would like to print this page on fabric, and there are a number of ways that you can do this. One way is to use kind of like an inkjet printing cotton paper, and this is just a really thin cotton fabric that's already attached to a paper backing, and it's treated so it takes the ink really nicely, and you just feed it through your printer as you would normally. But you don't really need these specialty sheets. I'm going to show you a trick for printing on a variety of fabrics that you have just laying around the house. I have an Epson EcoTank, and it prints on fabric just fine. And before this I had an HP, and it printed on fabric just fine as well. What I do is I just take a piece of printer paper. This is 32 pound, and this seems to work really well. I start on my leading edge, and I want to get as close to the edge as I can, and I'm just running a line of adhesive across here. There we go. And again, I'm going to try to get as close to the edge as I can. And if it goes over a tiny bit, it's not the biggest deal because it'll just, you can wipe it off your surface pretty easily just by rubbing like that. And I'm going to give it, normally this is what I would do, but I'm going to actually give it a couple swipes right down the middle as well. What I'm using is a Tombow Dots adhesive. And it's the purple one. Don't be fooled by the green. The green's for removable, but this is a refill, and I couldn't find my purple one, so I just put it in that one, and it does fit. So, but that's what I'm using. Use any kind of double-sided adhesive that you have. All right, I'm gonna put that off to the side. I'm using just an old piece of sheet. A white sheet. I don't think this is 100% cotton. I think it's like a poly cotton blend. It's one of those microfiber doodads that you get at Costco. All right, and then I just lay this down on my surface, and you know what? If you want to make it, if you're not as lazy as I am, you can go ahead and iron this. I'm just not that bothered by it, so I'm not going to do that. And I'm just going to lay it down on top, just like that. And then I'm going to cut it just roughly to size, and this is only so I can then adjust the fabric on the paper. Okay, and so you see you have something like this. You can then take your fabric and kind of just stretch it out a little bit to make sure it lays nice and flat. You want to avoid bubbles if you can, but again, I mean, I didn't even iron this, so it's not going to turn out absolutely perfect, but that's okay. I'm going for kind of a shabby look anyway, so I'm good with that. All right. So then once it's, you know, how I want it, and again, you can be, you know, more precise than I'm being right here if you'd like. I just take and I trim the edges. Okay, and then once I've got it the way I want it, I'll just burnish this down really well before I send it through the printer. And here's the settings that I use when I'm putting it through my EcoTank. And this is what you get. And it turns out, I think it turns out great. The wrinkles don't really matter all that much as far as I can see. So that's why I don't really bother with them. Now, it's not absolutely necessary, but I'm gonna hit it with the heat tool really quick, just to make sure that this stays nice and crisp and that the colors don't bleed and kind of fade out. So on the right, we have the image printed on the cotton sheet, and on the left, we have it printed on paper. Printable. So you can see the color is actually really, really good. And this is with no special paper or fabric used. I did it on a couple other types of fabric as well, just so you'd get an idea. I used some kind of, I think this is 100% cotton. It's more of a linen. This is from, and it's a little thicker than the sheet. And this is from a curtain. All right, so here is that linen, and you can see that the colors are really great on this too, but the linen was a little bit, had a little bit of a yellowish, beigeish tinge to it. So that definitely shows up. You can definitely see the thread in there, which is kind of a really cool effect, I think. Whereas in this one, you know, you don't see the fabric texture as much. And then I also had this really sheer curtain. I just did the same exact thing, and you can see that turned out really nice as well. The color's really, really beautiful, and I'm really excited to see what that's going to look like when I take it off the paper, because it's super, super sheer. So, you know, the colors are great. It's a little bit more of a watercolory effect because it is very sheer, but very, very cool. Okay, so now this is, if you want to do it on that paper that you can purchase, this is what it looks like. And you can see, you know, this is 32-pound HP paper. You can get a much crisper image with a double-sided matte photo paper. And this resembles, is kind of between the matte photo paper and this. This is definitely a more muted look, but I prefer this type of paper for journaling pages just because it's so buttery soft. I really love the texture of it. It's really, really pretty. But this gives you a really, really crisp image. So you can see the difference between this and the cotton bed sheet that we used. I mean, there is a bit of a difference, but you know, it's not such a big deal that you need to run out and buy this. Okay, so you know, if you don't have any of these in your stash and you don't want to go, you know, spend the money for it, this works great. You know, and you can experiment with different kinds of fabrics and see what you have. But you can see there are some great options here. So you can see that the fabric comes off the paper super duper easy. You can see this is a little bit thicker. And then this is that very sheer fabric. And this is great because you even get this kind of ghost image underneath, which is really cool. And then you get just this very, very sheer fabric that comes off of it. So yeah, once it's off the backing, you can see this one's a little, This one's been treated, so this one's a little firm. This is very, very pliable and nice. Here, this one's a little bit more substantial, and this one's just really beautiful and sheer. Okay. If you were going to work with something as thin as this, I'd want to back it on something before you started sewing on it, but this one would be easier to work on as well. But I'm going to go ahead and use this one since I've got this one already. So these treated cotton sheets that you can buy on Amazon or the craft stores are really nice because they're a little stiffer and they're treated, and you can actually cut them on using your trimmer. I'm just cutting out the piece that I need for this, and I like that I can get nice straight edges. But I'm gonna work on this one, and it looks like this is kind of like a tag shape. So I'm just gonna cut those little edges off. I'm gonna take this little piece of foam core. I'm gonna use some floss. This is DMC 728. Whereas this is the part of the video where I share my mad skills in slow stitching and sewing. Not. Okay, I do not have any mad skills when it comes to that. But I am going to, you know, if you know what you're doing when it comes to slow stitching, stick around because you'll probably get a good laugh. If you don't know what you're doing when it comes to slow stitching, stick around because I'm going to teach you the cheater's method for doing this. Okay, this has 6 strands in here. I'm just going to take 2 out. And here's where I show you how to thread a needle in 10 minutes or less. I'm going to add just a little texture in here. You know, I'm just looking for a little bit of texture. I'm going to go ahead and put a knot in the bottom, just wrap it around my finger, roll it, and then, you know, pull it with my thumbnail down. Okay, and if you're not sure where to start in something like this, you know, you can take a pin and just, you know, poke it in there. And this is why I like the foam core, because then you can just poke down, and then that will give you a hole to show you where to start your stitch. So if you're uncertain as to, you know, you don't want to poke in a million holes up into this, you can do that. Okay, and then I'm just going to pull it too, and then it kind of goes in there. All right, so here is my tip for you. I have this little skewer, and this is like for barbecues. There's thicker ones, but the one I'm using is a little bit thinner. I think this one is maybe 1/8 of an inch. Yeah, 1/8 of an inch skewer. Okay, so I'm just taking this skewer and I'm just gonna put it, see, this one's got like a weird thing on, that's okay. I'm just gonna put it over the top, kind of in the direction that I want my little loops to go. And I'm gonna then not go back through the same hole, but kind of go close to that hole. See how I'm rolling this back? I'm gonna zoom in a tiny bit more so you can kind of see what I'm doing, hopefully. There we go. So I put it here. See this stitch is coming out through here. I kind of roll it back a little bit so I can see where this is coming out. You know, you don't need a skewer. You can use any kind of dowel or anything round that's kind of even. And then I'm going kind of close, not back in the same hole, but kind of close by to that one. And I'm just going back in. And, you know, if you have trouble with hand strength, you can use some needle nose pliers to pull this through. Super easy to do it that way. Okay. And then I'm going to turn it over, and I'm just going to kind of go in a line, you know, to the other side of you know, where I started out. I can kind of see where the dowel is. So I'm kind of just going along that line. Okay. I'm pulling it through. And I'm going to keep doing this. You know, I'm just going to roll it back a little bit again. And just go to the left of that. And I like an uneven number of loops. So I'm just going to do that maybe, I don't know, 5 times, if I can fit that in there. Tie this off, and I'm just going to do that by, you know, doing a little knot here, going around like 3 times. Get my pokey tool, hold this down near where I want it to connect, and then that'll help tighten it down to that point. All right, so that's looking pretty good. And then I'm just going to take this out, and you can see you kind of get those little loops in there that look kind of fun. Now you can see the loops are just right here. So I'm going to do another row of loops kind of right here. So I'll probably do, I don't know, I did 5 there. I might do 3 in the next row of loops. And I'm just going to, there we go. And you see how cute that looks, right? I mean, it's just some really cute little loops. Just gives it a little bit of texture. And if you want, you can adjust these, you know, make them go whatever direction you want, make some longer, some shorter, you know, however you'd like. I mean, I'm pretty happy with that as it is. So just adds a little bit of 3D texture to it. And then on the back, you have a couple of options. And I'm pretty sure that the reason that people who actually know what they're doing when it comes to embroidery wouldn't use this method is because, you know, you can adjust them like this. Each stitch is not locked in. So this row of 5 is all connected. This row of 3 is all connected. So, you know, if you pull on one string, you can get one really long and then the other one would go away. So the strings, the loops aren't locked in at this point, you know, but this is, again, I'm just showing you a quick cheater's method of doing this. And, you know, on the back, you can use a little bit of glue if you'd like. You could use some Fabri-Tac. You could use some matte medium. Now, this is pretty thin. I don't want it leaking through onto the other side. So I think what I'm going to do in this instance is just simply add a little bit of tape. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing in these two, and then I'll be back and I'll show you another thing that you can do on this. That looks great. So now I want to do a couple of French knots, and these I'm actually going to do the right way. So this, I'm just going to take my needle and poke it right there. That's where I want one to be. Where else do I want them to be? Should I do one right here? Yeah, maybe one right here. That would be pretty. Let's just do it right here. Okay, so now for these French knots, I want the thread to be doubled up. So I allowed the thread to just double up back here. And that's good. I'm gonna go ahead and I'll just tape this down underneath here. There we go. It kind of anchors it a little bit. Okay. So I'm going 1, 2, 3, and then I'm taking this and going right back through the same hole or very close to it that I just made. Okay, and so what I learned in doing this is while this needle is still in here, see how it's in the foam core? I just take this string and hold it taut over here, okay? And that will allow me to better control this French knot. I'm just gonna keep holding on to this string and I get closer. All right, and as I get closer and closer, I'm gonna take my pokey tool again, kind of put it through the middle of that hole, and then just, yeah, then just pull it like that. Not too tight, just leave it a little loose. All right, I'm gonna take some more of that tape. I'm just gonna put it over the edge of that. Okay, and then I'm gonna go to my next one. So for that bud up top, I put 2 French knots at the base, and then I kind of did some long loops that provided that little fringy part for the very tippy top of it. Okay, there we go. Then I'm just getting that little kind of like fringy thing going there with a couple French knots and a little fringy thing going. Okay, you can leave this. You can add a whole another layer of tape over the top. I'm gonna take the tape off of here. I'm gonna iron it onto this, and then I'm gonna take this and iron it onto another piece of fabric. Before I do that, I want to just kind of fray this edge a little bit. Okay, so it just took like a couple seconds to iron this on. I took the tape off and I ironed it on. You can see that locks all those stitches in place. I'm going to take the paper off of here. And then that releases the adhesive. And then I'm going to iron this on another piece of fabric. Okay, so I just ironed this onto the back of some tea towel. This is a used one. I repurposed these, and this I can, you know, these got kind of flat, but I can just revive them a little bit. Let's see, I want it to fray. All right, yeah, I'm liking that. That's very messy, which is what I was going for. So I decided to use this piece we just completed in a fabric flip, and I'm just layering up all sorts of vintage and non-vintage fabrics, laces, trims, things like that. I decided to use this really sheer fabric that we just printed earlier, and I'm going for really shabby torn edges, and I just love the depth that you get with all of these different pieces. When I come up with a arrangement that I really like, I went ahead and I stitched it across the top on my sewing machine just to anchor all of the pieces. Okay, so now I have this really beautiful fabric flip, and it has a little loop, if I can get through it here, so I could you know, anchor it to the page or have it slide around, or you know, do a hidden paper clip with it. It also has another loop here in case I want to cut that off, so it gives me some options as to, you know, how I want to place it, what I want to do with it. But it's got this really cute little fabric flip on the interior. Just a bunch of different layers of beautiful fabrics, vintage, and a combination of vintage and non-vintage, and that would make a really a cute little addition to your journal. So I'm going to show you one more technique on here. So this one's just super duper easy. See, I'm just going to add 2 little holes right there. We go down through this one, and this is the full 6 strands, and then I'm just going to leave a tail here and go back up the other side. And then all I'm going to do is tie a square knot. So I'm going to go through that loop, tie it tight, and I'm going to do that again. I'll make sure that I tie it nice and tight, and then just cut off the ends, just like that. And that gives you just another 3D look. And it's just really, really fast and easy. Let me do one right here. And I'm just going to repeat this process in 2 more spots so that 3 flowers are embellished in this way. And you can see it just adds a little bit of some dimension in there. So I just sewed this little doodad on the bottom, kind of frayed the edges a tiny bit. I mean, you could go around the edges really quick with some ink. That wouldn't hurt. You don't have to. And then I really like it on this. So I'm going to add this stitched piece on top of this printed paper. One side has yellow gingham, the other a blue stripe, and I'm just going to fold it into thirds, just, you know, eyeballing it just fairly roughly. I'll do this one up a little higher. And then I'll do this one down a little lower. Okay, good. Okay, and then that gives me like a little peekaboo look into, I can get this harsh edge off, onto the bottom here, the underneath portion. So I think that looks pretty. And then across the top I'm just going to use my tear ruler, tear across the top, and that just gives a little bit of a blue background underneath it, which I really, really like. I think that looks really pretty. And then I just glued all three of those fabric pieces to some chipboard from just a cereal box, just some repurposed chipboard, just to add a little bit more stability to that piece. And then I glued that directly to the top third of this little piece of paper. And I'm just using glue stick to do this very simply, and you can see where that chipboard is peeking through the interior. I'm just covering it up with a little piece of ephemera. So then I just have this little journaling spot. You open it up and you've got all this room for journaling. I apologize, but it seems as though my camera kind of clunked out when I was adding some of the final embellishments to this piece. Before the glue dried, I just tucked this little piece of sari silk underneath this part between the piece of paper and the slow stitched area. And then I just added a little pearl to the end and tied it off. I stapled this little butterfly down to the bottom here. I think it adds a nice little focal point. I just did it out of book page, and I did the edges with pumice stone. And then I just added, I felt like this needed a little bit of something inside of here. I just added a little, another little smaller butterfly on a Tracy label inside of here. I just felt like it just needed a little something. But I just think that makes a really cute little journaling spot to add into any journal that you have. And you've got these little 3D flowers. So I want to show you that you can also do this technique on paper or the thinner kind of fabric like the cotton that I printed on my home printer. But if you do that, I would highly recommend covering the back of it with like some tape of some sort. I like just this craft tape that I got at Daiso. It works really, really well. Or even, you know, gluing some kind of cardstock or something to the back of it, something to stabilize it. I like the tape just because it's flexible but also sturdy and it's not going to tear. And you know, I'm just doing the same exact techniques that I've used previously. I'm doing the French knots, and I am using that technique of just doing a square knot to add a little bit of you know, a dimension to the centers of these flowers in this corner tuck. And I'm just adding a little bit of lace on top. So I think I want to do some labels. I'm not sure exactly what size I want. There's a couple that would work. I kind of like this longer one. I like this smaller one without the lines, but I'll do a number of them. And I like this kind of neutral background for it. And I'm just going to use my archival ink on here. And these are some Elizabeth Craft Designs stamps. If you don't have archival inks, some of the colors of distress ink that I really like with this kit are Faded Jeans, Peeled Paint, Shabby Shutters, and the pumice stone. I really, really like those colors with this kit. Okay, so I did a few, and I like this one the best, I think. Just gonna ink the edge really quick with some pumice stone. So on that same sheet that I stamped the labels on, there was this little pair of galoshes. And I thought this might be really cute on here because it'll just bring out some of the yellow and in the centers of the flowers and just be really, really cute. And I'm just gluing those on with some glue stick. All right, I'm just going to add a little bit of shading to these boots. So I didn't feel like the boot was popping off of the background the way I would like them to. So I just took a watercolor pencil from Tim Holtz, and this is in Hickory Smoke, and I just draw along the edge where I feel like it needs a little bit more shadowing, and then I take my watercolor pencil and I kind of blur that out a little bit. Now I didn't want it to wick too much, so I blotted it with some paper towel. And I've got these flowers that I got at the Dollar Tree, and I just thought these would look really kind of cute in the boots, kind of sticking up, maybe like that, something like that. They've also got white ones. Got these white ones here. Those could look cute too. Not sure if I want the blue or the white. I think I want to go with the blue on this one. I like the blue. And I just want to add a pop of yellow to the interior of these flowers. And I promise this is the last technique I'm going to show you. But I do it the same way as I do the flowers in the paper. Yeah, I just use the yellow floss doubled up and go in and out of the flower and tie it off. Again, just kind of go in through the interior of the stem. Make sure you don't poke your finger. Let's see, I don't want to go through there. I want to go closer to the stem. There we go. I'm going to pull that through, and then I'm going to go through like this. There we go. I can cut this. And then just tie it off, you know, again with a square knot. And if your thread is longer, it's kind of easier to do this. You go, and you kind of have this, yeah, blue flower with a yellow stamen. Looks really, really pretty. I think what I want to do is just add a little slit right here. And then I'm just adding those flowers into that hole, and you can see I cut another slit into the other gouache and add the other flower in there, and even take some leaves off of the main stem and just arrange it the way that I want. I'm going to put some tape there just to hold it for the moment. I am really, really loving this. This is so cute. All right, I'm gonna trim this, and it really wasn't hard sewing on this. All right, so now I've got this like that. Oh my gosh, I just love this. Look how cute it looks. That is so freaking cute. I just love it. Okay. I do want to like add a word or something here, I think. Okay, so here are two different things of words. Let's see if I can get something out of here that I want to use. I'm thinking this, a flower blooms for its own joy. I'm not going to use it the way it is because it wouldn't quite fit this way. So I just cut the lines apart, and then I'm going to ink them up and glue them back together so that it makes one long continuous line that I can add to the tuck spot. Okay, now if this is too long, I'm in trouble. Okay, before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of this distress crayon to the bottom here because I do like the area underneath shoes and stuff to be you know, I just want this to be a little darker. I don't really want it to be it's too bright right now. I think I want a more of a contrast between foreground and background. And I'm just blurring that crayon a little bit with some baby wipe and then with my water pencil, and then I went ahead and I dried it with my heat tool. And now when I add the word strip, it just really pops off the background. It looks really nice. And also there's a little bit of a grounding for the galoshes and the label. They're not just kind of floating in space. So I really like the final effect of this. Okay, so I got this really cute little piece of ephemera off of Rach's kit. I'm just gonna fussy cut it. I just want this one little guy right here looking at the viewer. I don't know that I need all this bottom part, but I've got it just in case. Oh my gosh, look at how cute he is. And it just seemed like it needed a little pop of color to the right of the squirrel, so I'm adding another flower here, even though there isn't one on the background. So yeah, just a little pop of color. You know, if you don't have these kinds of you know, stems, a lot of us have, you know, these types of things, paper flowers, even some fabric flowers. And if you have them, you can always pull out your flower punches. So these are all, you know, different options if you don't have these kinds of things and you want to add them on your project. So I've demonstrated these techniques in 3 different projects that I've made, but more than anything else, you know, I really wanted to just share these techniques so that you can enhance any of the pages or ephemera in this kit. There's so many different options that you can use these techniques on, just to add a little bit of sewn 3D dimension. And yeah, you can make very similar projects to like what I did with the fabric flip, the corner tuck and the journaling spot, but you don't have to. You can use these techniques on any of the pages and any of the ephemera that are in the kit. So I use these same techniques on the front and back cover of my journal, and these are unfinished. This is just a sneak peek, but you can see this is the front cover, and I added some of these dollar store stems, and then I did some of the loopy stuff under here and some French knots. And then on the back cover, I did some of those, I enhanced some of these flowers with that technique where you just knot it. And I think these are perfect for that. I love the way this turned out. And this is a work in progress, and I'm not entirely done with it. And I may trim off some of this yellow off the side. I think that might be a little bit too much. Let me know what you think in the comments below. But stay tuned. Like I said, this is a sneak peek, and I will be having a separate video showing how I made this cover if you're interested. And I have an idea for a binding method that is going to be open spine. So we'll see how that goes. All right, so these are my final projects for this. So again, we had this fabric flip, and we enhanced it with all this 3D sewing on the front. And we have this wonderful vintage sheer fabric, some vintage eyelet, some of that sheer fabric that we had printed, vintage crochet piece. I just love that. This is a contemporary piece of fabric, and again, some more of that vintage sheer. I don't know if you can see, but it has all these gorgeous, look at the florals in that. Isn't that just beautiful? And again, this can be very easily, paper clipped to the side of a journal. So this would be very easy to add to, a journal, or you can sew it across the top, however you want to attach it to the journal. Got this really cute little journaling spot, very shabby chic and bright, which I love. And it opens up like this and has lots of room for journaling. So super cute. And then this little tuck spot is super duper cute as well. Yeah. And again, enhanced with these and the flowers. So if you haven't already, and I'm sure you probably already have, go check out Bella's video for today. She's doing the rustic and grungy version of this prompt, which is sewing 3D flowers. And make sure you check out all of the other YouTubers and Instagrammers who are contributing to this collaboration. Use the hashtag Journal Jigsaw to search for people across social media platforms, and make sure to like, subscribe, and leave a comment on each video, because there will be prizes. Yes, there are prizes, but you have to like, subscribe, and comment to each channel in order to be eligible. I hope you get these kits. I hope you're playing along, and I hope you're having fun. I want to thank you so much for joining me today. I had so much fun with this challenge, and I want to thank Rach and Bella and Angela Kerr for this beautiful, beautiful kit, and for inviting me to participate in this challenge. I am just beyond excited. I hope you like what I've contributed to this. If you do, please like and leave me a comment in the description box below. I really, really would appreciate it. And if you enjoy this kind of content, I encourage you to subscribe to my channel. It is very small but growing. I know I'm a new face to a lot of you who are watching this collaboration, and I would love for us to be in the same crafty community. Again, this is Denise with PaperKraftD, and craft on.